Your investment fees could be costing you thousands of dollars over time, and today we want to show you why that might be the case, and how you can prevent it to get more out of your hard-earned investment dollars. Your investment journey matters. It'll last the rest of your life, and that's why investment fees matter too. So, what exactly is an investment fee? Often known as management fees or management expense ratios, investment fees are the amount that investment managers will charge you for their services. These investment managers are investing on your behalf, so naturally, they want to get paid for it. If you hold ETFs, managed funds, or another type of investment vehicle, you're probably paying investment fees. This is usually fund managers' primary source of income, which goes towards the costs associated with managing the fund. These costs include payment of staff salaries and service provider fees. Management fees are expressed in percentage form, an amount that is charged annually from your investment account. As a simple example, if I invest $100 into a managed fund that holds stocks and the fund manager charges 1% in management fees, the expense will be $1 every year. This amount is removed from my investment of $100, usually in equal amounts throughout the year. $1 a year doesn't sound like much, but it adds up. Consider this age-old tale. Legend has it, there was an Indian king who was obsessed with chess. Whenever a new traveller entered his kingdom, he would challenge them to a game, and if they beat him, he would reward them with any treasure or prize they desired. One day, a pilgrim wandered into his land and was challenged to a game by the king. When asked for his terms, he made a modest request. "Your Highness, I would simply like a single grain of rice for the first square, and for each following square to double the last, for all 64 squares of the chessboard." The king laughed and agreed to these measly terms. The pilgrim went on to beat the king in impressive fashion, leaving the king stunned by his ability. However, the king stayed true to his promise and acknowledged that the pilgrim's reward would be met. The king's servants began placing grains of rice upon the chessboard, 1 in the first square, 2 in the second, 4 in the third, 8 in the fourth, and so on. It didn't take the king long to realise that he may have bitten off a little more than he could chew. He calculated that by the 30th square, he would be required to put down 1 billion grains of rice, and by the 64th and final square, he would need to reward the pilgrim with roughly 18 quintillion grains. That's about 210 billion tonnes of rice, enough to cover the whole of modern-day India in a 1 metre thick layer of rice. The king tore out his hair. What appeared to be a small request for a few bags of rice was going to bankrupt his kingdom. The pilgrim acknowledged that it was a ridiculously large amount and agreed that the king could pay it off in installments and even pay him in other assets like gold or land. So, what does this fable teach us? The story teaches us about the incredible power of accumulation over time. What appears to be a small amount to pay can grow and grow, quicker than you might expect. Investment fees work in a similar way. Don't worry, investment fees should never bankrupt you, but they can eat away at your investment returns and add up to a significant amount over the long term. Here's an example. This chart compares the investment return of a low-fee passive fund, A200, and an actively managed fund with a similar investment strategy, holding Australian shares. This chart assumes that both funds make 5% investment returns before fees every year. It also assumes the management fees on A200 is 0.04% and the active management fee is 1%. So, if you were to invest $10,000 in both of these funds over 40 years, the lower fee fund would be worth around $66,000 compared to the higher fee fund value of $48,000. The low fee option would end up being worth around $18,000 more than the high fee option. You can see that over the long term, fees add up and really impact investment returns. Fees can vary wildly, and going for the lowest fee investment isn't always the best solution, but you should always check how much you're paying for your managed funds. When looking at what fees are reasonable and which fees aren't, consider the following. Some investments have international shareholdings, which make them expensive to manage. These funds will usually charge more than funds just holding Australian assets. Similarly, certain assets like bonds or property are more expensive to manage than stocks. Finally, active managers usually charge higher fees than index funds because they spend more time and effort to pick investments. However, if you're comparing two exposures that have the same holdings, a lower fee is probably going to be better for your long-term returns. Fund managers usually provide fee information on the fund webpage. We quote our fees as management costs in the key facts section of our fund webpage. While fees are really important for your long-term performance, they're just one piece in the investment puzzle. Check out our video on portfolio construction in the link here for 4 more tips to when you're building a portfolio. And if you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel. We want to give you the foundational knowledge for your investment journey. Let us know what you'd like covered next, and we'll see you next time.